talk about Dan Lennington is standing by from the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty to talk about the Sun Prairie School District. This is pretty typical of school districts just digging in and not wanting to answer simple questions that they are obliged to answer under the law. And so, of course, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty had to escalate things. Dan, what has been going on and where are you in this case? Trying to get information from Sun Prairie School District and what their policy is for adult men showering naked with 14-year-old girls.
Hi, Vicki. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
we have not learned much. This is what we have actually kind of learned what the trajectory of this was. So before March, before the 18-year-old male exposed his genitalia to 4 freshman girls in the shower following a swimming class in the morning, the policy at that time appeared to be, according to Sun Prairie, was that a transgender individual could be in whatever locker room they wanted to be in. Really, no questions asked. If they wanted to ask for permission, they were allowed to, but they weren't required to ask for permission. And so after the big uproar and school board meeting and Fox News coverage and all sorts of nationwide outrage over this, the school district comes up with a guidance/custom or some other type of policy where they say literally, we do not condone students of one biological sex being in a state of undress with students of another biological sex. That is currently their policy. It's basically like saying, you can go into whatever locker room you want to go to if you're transgender, but try to keep your clothes on.
Yeah, or now, you can not even keep your clothes on. We don't condone it. We disagree with it, but feel free to do it.
Yeah, some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. Some people like to keep their clothes on, some people don't. I mean, it's just ludicrous that they have a policy that apparently a transgender person can go into a locker room of their opposite sex and they can just stand there. And as long as they're not undressing, that is compliant with the policy. Well, we think that is illegal under Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. It protects students from sex discrimination, and sex discrimination includes sexual harassment. And being in the presence of someone, I would just say an adult male or any male, naked in front of high school girls without their consent, especially in a school setting, would be sexual harassment. The Title IX protects against that.
Yes, and it doesn't. It seems like this should be obvious. You don't let boys in the girls' locker room. I don't care if boys want to call themselves Sally. They don't get to go into the girls' locker room. So you can't. This is the best they have given you after months of asking for these records, and you get an $11,000 bill for public records access in the first place.
Yeah, and this can't really be their policy. It's not even remotely.
It's not a policy.
Federal. It's not. It is not a policy. A policy is something that's voted on by the school board. And the school board hasn't voted on any of this stuff. What's going on here is that the Biden administration has so muddied the water into the definition of boys and girls that school districts, frankly, are kind of afraid to take any action because they think if they just have the traditional boys and girls locker rooms and bathrooms, then they're going to get sued by the Biden administration. But if they kind of fudge it and they try to have it both ways, they try to have it where they're saying, well, you can't be naked if you're of the opposite sex, but we're going to basically have this very loose policy allowing transgender kids to go wherever they want. That doesn't protect girls. It doesn't protect anybody. And so, today we filed a federal civil rights complaint with the U.S. Department of Education, and now we're asking the Biden administration to investigate Sun Prairie, to send investigators there, because we have asked for information repeatedly, and we've been stonewalled, and parents have asked for answers. Members of the community have gone to the school board meeting and have asked for answers. They've been given nothing. Just they've been given false information. And we're going to ask the Biden administration, we have asked them now, to conduct their own investigation under Title IX and figure out what's going on, because this is going on all over Wisconsin. It's going to go on all over across America, because when you have eroded the definition of male and female so much that people don't know what it is and they're afraid to say what it is if they do know what it is, it's going to lead to real harm. I mean, it's going to lead to harm with sexual harassment, and it could end up at harm on the sports field if we're having, boys playing girls' sports.
Well, we've already seen that happen.
Sport.
We've seen it happen in other schools. I would argue that the sexual harassment may have already caused harm with the exposure, the boy exposing himself, the 18-year-old boy who's technically an adult, exposing himself to girls in the locker room, which, by the way, doesn't seem to bother the progressives whatsoever. What, you haven't seen a penis before? What's your problem? Which has been the reaction, by the way, from the progressive left on this, which is astonishing. Yeah, just let the creepy pervert walk into your daughter's locker room, hang it all out there, and then blame her for not being with it enough to be down with looking at naked men. I mean, it's amazing.
One of the school board members at the hearing, sorry to interrupt, but one of the school board members at the hearing actually blamed the girls. Why were they looking at his penis?
Yes.
If I'm in a shower stall with other people, I do not look at their genitalia. Why would these girls looking at? So yeah, it's all blame the victim now. It's all blame women, blame girls.
Amazing.
We've turned everything and don't believe girls, don't believe women. Everything has been turned on their head.
Yeah, whatever happened to hashtag Me Too? That seems to have gone the way of the dinosaur in favor of, hashtag, glitter cult. There, you list some things in the press release that you put out at Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty about Sun Prairie Area School District. So I'm just going to go through some of these because this is a school district that's got some serious problems protecting kids. Here is one where they had a middle school teacher for years videotaping boys in the bathroom at a Sun Prairie area school district school. He's now under federal indictment for child pornography. You have the Sun Prairie area school district encouraging kids to use a adult sex hookup site called Trevor Space. You have the Sun Prairie Area School District hiring high-dollar lawyers to retaliate against parents who reach out and want information from the schools. They had a racially discriminatory awards ceremony, have held multiple racially segregated events, including field trips and awards ceremony, have racially discriminatory educational programming, and have racially discriminatory school boundaries. And this is all in the last handful of years. None of this has been corrected. This is something that should be investigated by DPI, and all other school districts should be following and paying attention to it because it seems like the kids come last.
Right. It tells you, how important having a good Department of Public Instruction superintendent is, which is something we vote on every few years, but we're not able to elect anybody with any competence. So the DPI, if we had a good DPI superintendent, they could take care of this lickety-split. Because all these things you mentioned are illegal and unconstitutional, and the school district doesn't really seem to care about that. I mean, their enrollment is declining, their test scores are declining, their violence in the schools is increasing, and apparently this is what the liberal and progressive agenda reaps, and they're apparently satisfied. This is satisfactory for the left, apparently.
Well, they keep the voters keep going to referendum and giving them more money, and so does the state legislature keeps giving these schools more money. So what's the next step here? You filed the official Title IX complaint on Sun Prairie permitting. Perhaps, I mean, I think the problem is even encouraging boys who, at any given moment, can identify themselves as girls and taking over girls' spaces to the point of exposing themselves in a shower. What's next? What is the civil? Yeah. I mean, this is the Biden Office of Civil Rights we're talking about here.
Yeah, it is the Biden Office of Civil Rights, but the Secretary of Education did say twice in a hearing recently that he does not believe that biological boys should be in girls' locker rooms, full stop. And if he really believes that, and Congress has now called on the Department of Education to do an investigation also. So we have a committee in the House of Representatives sent a letter calling for investigation. We've now asked for a civil rights investigation. They have all the authority they want to clarify what sex discrimination and sexual harassment really means and what we're going to do to protect our girls in school. And if they don't, they're gonna suffer at the ballot box, because this is a bipartisan issue. This idea of boys and girls sports, boys and girls locker rooms. Majorities across the political spectrum are opposed to this, and either they can fix it, the easy way, or they can do it the hard way at the ballot box. So we'll give them the chance, and then we'll see what our next steps are after that.
All right. Thanks very much. And I think a lot of people appreciate that you're pursuing this, and a lot of parents who are afraid to step up. I wish more parents would step up, because Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty stands ready to assist parents whose children are being overtly discriminated against or put at risk. I appreciate the time, Dan.
Thank you, Vicki.
Good to have you on the program. And will-law.org is where, if you're a parent or a grandparent, where you can reach out and get assistance from Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty if something like this is, or it doesn't have to be explicitly like this, is happening to your kid or grandkid. There's a contact button right at the upper right-hand corner of their page.